Hey, welcome into this edition of the GASO Cast, Season 5, Episode 3, a proper GASO takeover. We took over two cities this weekend, Houston and Dallas, and it was great. But before we get started, I do want to talk about our sponsor, Clutch Shots. This episode is brought to you by Clutch Shots AI, the first ever smart highlight creator. Whether you're an athlete, proud parent, coach, or organization, Clutch Shots AI makes creating pro-quality sports highlights fast, easy, and unforgettable. With cutting-edge AI, you can capture, reframe, and share your best moments in seconds, all optimized for social media. Say goodbye to hours of editing and hello to instant eye-catching highlights. Ready to elevate your game? Download the Clutch Shots AI app today and revolutionize your highlights with a 2-week free trial. If you played in the GASO in Houston or Dallas, you were in the NBA, you were covered by Clutch Shots. So go check out your free highlights. It's a really useful tool for me, especially when I'm on another court. I hear a roar, and I go into Clutch Shots and download what just happened. It's really, really fun. A couple other housekeeping things. The GASO Fast Breaks loaded. We are each hitting on, 15 prospects apiece, Lyndon? It's going to be a lot. Over
more,
50 plus. Yeah, are going to be talked about this week. So make sure you're subscribed to the GASO Fast Break. This weekend, the ATX tip-off. We're excited to go down to Austin, Round Rock, watch some hoops, eat our favorite food. We love the setup down there. Round Rock Donuts, shout out. You're not even a sponsor, but you're that good that we're going to shout you out. Lastly, make sure you're following us on Instagram and X. We're pumping out information, pumping out content, and we look forward to you tagging us so we can watch your stuff. So please do that. But let's hop in here. I'm just going to ask y'all three because I was in Dallas. What was the vibe in Houston like? And I'll give you the breakdown of the vibe in Dallas.
Yeah, it was electric, to be honest. Every division was under MI3. And as we've always talked about, in our chats, you can tell the energy from the younger teams and the parents and the fans. So you got to feel that a little bit more. But I mean, the high level games that we got to see in the NBA division were electric too. Shout out to the L3 Elite fans. They were probably the loudest fans of the weekend. In a high level game, they were playing Ice Tray Elite, and they had to come back. And shout out to L3 because they were hitting big shots, and you could tell like every shot that they shot, they were feeding off their fans, and their fans were ready to run on the court. But it was just that type of energy, momentum throughout the whole weekend that really stood out. And then I just love the fact that you were in Dallas, Mass, but the little banter we had back and forth in the group chats and on social media is like, hey, we got killers in Houston. What are y'all doing over here in Dallas? That back and forth stuff. It's awesome. It's awesome when we get to do that in this event.
Well, I had to get a bullhorn because from about 11 to 4 on Saturday, there was no parking at Duncanville Fieldhouse. People were parking in the fire lane, and I got a message from the the Deville Fieldhouse coordinator. It was like, you need to go get these people to move. So I went court to court with a bullhorn. That's a GASO first for me. But I mean, it just speaks to everybody was on top of each other. It's probably 6 people deep for a few of the games. It was wild, a really, really fun atmosphere. People just showed up, showed out, and it was highly competitive basketball. We had that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at times, and classic GASO vibes. It was spot on. It was a lot of fun, and I'm excited to hear more about Houston here. So let's jump in. Let's waste no time. Who is a prospect that you're just dying to talk about? BZ, I'm going to pass it to you first.
Isaiah Santos that plays for JL316U. I mean, we've talked to him about him through the high school season, and then when you see him in this setting with JL3, which the JL3 programs are unbelievable and full of talent. But for Santos himself, just maybe he's a positionless type of prospect, but man, that guy gets a lot done. I mean, he's crashing the boards on the offensive side, just making it look easy, bodying up to people, being physical, putting it, little reverse layups defensively. He just goes and attacks his opponent, makes it really hard for them if they're going to try to drive. He's going to put his arms on them, push them away from the spot that they want to be at. And he's just kind of like an all-around, do-it-all prospect that translates to just different levels. And he's only on the 16U. He's got plenty of years left to continue to develop and to progress in what he's done, because he's just a tough physical player that is very dependable for whatever team that he plays on.
Agreed. Good call out. Lennon?
Yeah, let's go with a kid in the 2028 class, Maverick Curl Okafor for Blue Chips 15U. Um, I saw him during the season for Manville, but I mean it's a different story now because it's clear the development that have taken over the last couple of months. He's coming into his frame. The body looks a little more sturdy. The length, the finishing ability. He knows how to play within his role, but he always just seems to produce and deliver. Anytime he catches the ball from the elbow in, it's going to end in a bucket. So, yeah, I really like what I saw from him this weekend. And he's a name that you have to know in this 28 class in Houston.
Love it. I'm going to give us a splash of Dallas real quick, and then I'm going to pass it to you, Mike. Trae Young, Dallas to fam. I know all three of y'all have seen him. And he got the business this weekend in playing Drive Nation and YGC 17 Pro 16s. And he was just consistently hitting big shot after big shot. He just made noise, and you could tell he was just built for the moment. He was turning heads. He was the sideline guy. Everybody's like, yo, who's zero? Who's zero? I'm like, Trae Young, man. That guy's been around a minute. He's been doing a thing. He had a great season at Cedar Hill. But, man, he was really confident from deep. He was just ready for the moment, and he performed. And that's what really good players do. And Trae Young put on for Dallas to fam. Mike?
Yeah, 2027 Moraine Fadika of TMA NXT Pro 16. Lyndon and I watched him quite a bit, and every time we looked on their court, he was getting to it, whether it's coast to coast in transition, his pace in the half court set, real live bucket getter all weekend long. And when every time you look at the court, we always talk about you don't know who's watching or how long they're going to be watching for. But every time he was on the court, he was making splash plays. Katie Jordan prospect that's going to be very loud the rest of the summer as well, going into that Katie Jordan high school season next year. But yeah, high level weekend for the kid.
Love it. Let's go into just a game that delivered. Lyndon, I'm going to pass this one for you.
Yeah, one of the later games on Sunday, guys are starting to pack stuff up. Teams are out of there for the weekend, but Team Dominate and Takeover 16U. I mean, both teams played well all weekend, but this game kind of was the flashpoint for me that I got to really sit down and evaluate. I mean, for Takeover, you have Trace Motton, Jed Ikalola, Elijah Trehan out there. Jed had one of the best dunks I saw all weekend, going up in transition with two hands to finish and kind of put an exclamation point on Takeover's win. But like, Team Dominate, they've got some dudes over there. Willie Arriaga had a really big weekend. Dylan Rogers as a guard who can just make plays and hit shots. Xavier Williams from Jersey Village got a really good eval on him. So this game delivered, and there's a lot of prospects that are going to be notable throughout the summer and into their next high school season.
Love it. I'm going to go with Elevate U and YGC 17's Pro 16. This one lived up to the hype. Elevate has really put on to start this grassroots season. Played really well, and they got a chance, to prove themselves, and boy, did they. But to YGC first, they rolled out a loaded squad. Seven Spurlock showed up fresh off Chipotle Nationals on Friday, was back at the GASO on Saturday. Trey Clark was flying around looking really, really comfortable, just cleaning everything up, rebounding the basketball, being a defensive stopper, blocking everything. I was really impressed with him. And then Cam McGilvery, man, the kid is taking a leap. He's so slithery, crafty scorer, gets wherever he wants. And his length gives him a mismatch on the defensive end. Just about everyone he plays. I mean, he's 6'2", 6'3", with that like 6'8", 6'9" wingspan. It's ridiculous. He was really, really good. But Elevate did not flinch. They matched the moment, met the energy, had a 10-point lead, and YGC came back and punched him in the mouth. But Elevate found a way to get the 2-point win. It was gritty, and they kept off the big 3-0 weekend by Elevate, who also stormed back in a wild comeback against Triumph. They took care of business against second to none. It was Jacoby Lovings passing the ball. The kid can really pass, sees the floor. If you just think of him as a scorer, well, you're wrong. He can do a lot with his vision. And then Brendan Ballard, relentless motor. Really, really athletic, really relentless on the defensive end, blocking shots and then finishing around the rim. Damari Evans, he gives Jacoby a lot of freedom because of how much Damari can take from Jacoby on the defensive end. And Damari just cannot be not talked about. And then Deshaun Lewis just delivered the goods with probably the dunk of the year at GASO, dunking on two people. Kid's a 2025, really athletic. Shows flashes of just getting downhill, finishing, slashing, and can be really good on the defensive end. But it was really, really fun. These two teams played with an edge, and it just like every time there was a slug, there was another one coming right back. And those are the games that are fun. This was one of the ones that caused the old bullhorn for Mass to come out because of people were about to get towed and tickets and all that good stuff. So fun game. Loved it. Mike?
Yeah, for me, I'm just going to be very simple with this. Friday night, Coos Elite versus TJ Ford 17s. Right to it. Second game of the night. You start to feel the energy in Houston, and this game did not disappoint. But Blue also want to talk about this game, so I'm going to do a shameless plug. The full game recap's out on Tech Soup's television YouTube channel, so go run that up. And I'll pass it to Blue because I know, Blue, you were like, hey, I really want to talk about this game. So, hey, talk about it more in detail, Blue, because it was high level.
Yeah, I don't want to take away too much from the film, especially because it is a must watch. It is a must watch, and it was a fun game because it was so back and forth. I mean, it was crowded on that court as it was all weekend, and so with TJ 4-3 SSB now with being in the top level and then going along with Coos Elite that's on the Puma Pro 16, it was just a great atmosphere, and each team was bringing in. It was a 68-65 finish, and it kind of came down to a late bucket. I remember by Chase Richardson just rising up, getting through the defense of Coos Elite, and just rising up, and lefty boom knocks down a little 15-footer, kind of get that momentum and down the stretch. But I mean, when you look at the lineups between them with TJ Ford, you had Chase Richardson, and you have Kishar Vijay Kumar, who can shoot from, I'm talking about the distance. He's not just tippy-toeing the line of the three-point line. No, he's getting out, catch and shoot, getting himself in position for this TJ Ford team to really launch the ball with consistency and with deep range. Zayson Salanoa, I mean, what? Of course, he's out there. He hits 5 threes in the game. In this one, and then Sean Ducksworth does what we thought he was going to do. He's going to be a force in the middle with his athleticism, with his ability, just going to push some guys and create contact and finish through that. Opposite side, though, Coos Elite, you have a 2027 leading the pack here with Trey Pinker that's out there dishing the ball, hitting threes, hitting some pull-ups, playing defense. There's a trio of point guards out there between Reese and Richardson and now Pinker in Houston that is really showing that they're worth for the next level as these kids are only 2027s. You continue to go down the list with Coos Elite with Brody Thornton over there getting buckets inside also.
Love that guy.
Yeah. Like he can be a Swiss Army knife, as you like to call them, massive, where he's going to give you a little bit of everything. And then Anthony Avalos is re-energized himself. Excuse me, has kind of being this guy out there that can hit some free throws and get you some putbacks and so forth, and just be part of the team. So I really looked at this squad here and just loved the game. But what I'm going to tell you, the storytelling of the film is really what y'all need to go watch and kind of see how the momentum changes and everything that comes through that camera.
Was that the game with the crossover step, Euro step from Chase Richardson?
It might have been, but that clip was elite.
That was silly.
Yeah.
That was really, really silly. Let's hop into our not so bold take from the weekend. When I saw this, Michael, I knew exactly what I was going to say. So I love this category. Why don't you go first?
No, let me hear you. You knew exactly what you're going to say. Get right to it then.
Marion Hunter's a dude. I love that kid, man. Dallas Carter, Dallas Mustang 16U. He was unbelievable in the YGC 16U Pro 16 Dallas Mustangs 16U. That's a mouthful game. Yeah. He showed off some ridiculous scoring, especially in the second half. He didn't get off to the best start. They were down 10, 12, and Marion just kept plugging away. And he was really good in the first half. Second half, though, he had a stretch where he had 12 or 14 points, hitting shots in every which way. I also want to just point out the hustle. He saved a ball from going out of bounds. He got some rebounds. He saved a ball from going backcourt, but just sprinting over there. And he's just built for it, man. Like, that Dallas Carter 2027 class is awesome. And then you throw in Terrell Jackson. They didn't even play this weekend for the Mustang 16, but throw him in with Carter. Oh man, that is a fun group, spearheaded by Amarian, and Amarian just made a statement. We'll just leave it at that. And
Was
I
he at
loved it.
USA basketball camp?
What'd you say? Terrell?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to probably get to see him at April 25th to 27th, I'm hoping.
I've already got the text. They're coming.
Good. And they should be. And they're going to be able to put on again. And I'm glad y'all are going to be able to see it because those are some bad dudes. And, Caden Eason made a statement. James McCall Spear, A.J. Burdine. Like, they got Landon Higgins. They got dudes. That is one of the top independent 16U programs in Texas, no doubt. Probably, in the nation. I don't know how many times they're going to lose this year, to be honest with you. They are some bad dudes, and Marion Hunter led the way. Loved it. Told you I was excited.
Yeah. And they're going to get and we're always going to give them the right matchups when they come to GASO. That's what they
always
know.
show up and do the thing. They turn in the rosters. I love them. Top to bottom. Shout out, Dallas Mustangs.
Yeah. For me, we don't run to do rankings ever. We try to do this the right way, whether people agree or don't agree. But if we were putting out a 2028 ranking right now, EJ Moore, JL3's 15U, Beaumont United, that's what they look like. It would be, he's in the conversation for the number one 2028 in the state of Texas right this second. And like I said, we don't put rankings out until after their sophomore years. So plenty of time to continue to see him develop. But he's so much further along than a lot of bigs that I've seen at this level. He runs the floor. His footwork is unbelievable. He's not just finishing through contact, he's dunking through contact. The body is already more leaned out than most bigs that are kind of bigger bodied. I was talking to Tim Littlefield. He's like, watch this, 3 or 4 possessions in a row. The tank and the motor's there. He's running straight down the middle every time. Like, there's just so much to like about him. And and he already has that varsity experience playing with Beaumont United this year, going to the regional finals. A very, very, very scary a very, very scary prospect down there in Beaumont. And JL3's 15s, you pair him up with Madden Hill, Jack Sherham, JD Humphreys out there. That team's loaded. Mass. I know you don't.
I saw the roster.
I'll say this. And as I talk about this, the 15U division in Houston area is loaded in general. And when we come down for our next gen camp in September, it's going to be an absolute show when we get these guys in the gym. So you're talking about a lot of teams down there in that 15U that were really loud. So Houston, hey, buckle up. Y'all got something brewing down there.
That's fun. Blue?
Yeah, mine, Austin Brown. What can we say that we haven't already? But, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole of rankings, and this is not about rankings.
We'll talk about it, too, on a couple of hoops, I think.
Yeah, it's more of
a reality
of where some players are going to fit. And I don't know if I have my blinders on because I'm just such a huge Austin Brown fan. But when I look at the size, when I look at his ability to hit threes, he shot 34% from the 3-point line this past year. Talking to JT McManus, his head coach at Lufkin. That's got to probably stretch out a little bit more, try to get to that 37, 38%.
High volume too.
Yeah. And so when you look at that, that's where it really needs to be creeping up for it to really hit home for the colleges, college programs. But he's got size. He's got the ability to show off how strong he is when he gets inside. He has, he bounces off the floor. Like, there's some times that when he gets, and Michael can attest to this, when he gets going, and we've seen it throughout the year, he can go and just dunk on somebody. Like, he's got that power in the legs. Like, you look at him, he's physically gifted that he can get off the floor and go finish that. And so I look at it more of like, if this kid gets go to one of the premier leagues of, I don't care, I'll say right here, the SEC, the Big 12, any of those power conferences, as long as he's patient, as long as he's willing to learn from the guys that are older, that are ahead of him, he's going to be successful. He's going to be playing in March. He's going to be playing on maybe a deep run of a team, because I just think he's got that caliber. And I just that's what that kind of popped in my head, that I was like, man, this guy can really go. This guy's going to be able to get it done.
Love it. Lyndon, we're talking about our not so bold take from the weekend. So why don't you give it out?
Yeah, and for me, it's two guys that I've got to talk about, and that this won't be the first weekend that Troy Bell and Damon Miles, excuse me, open a ton of eyes, and not just in Houston. I mean, all around the state, maybe around the region. These two dudes can flat out make shots. I mean, that first half of the JL3 versus Miles Select 16U, where Troy Bell has 18 points and is just knocking down everything he looks at from behind the arc, but also finishing on the drive. And then in the second game they played on Sunday, Damon Miles is hitting shots over a hand. He's getting to his spots, short corner, elbow. He was killing it in the mid-range and also hitting deep shots. Miles Select 16 is a team that I want to see again ASAP at a GASO.
Yeah, those are two of our guys. You and I are big Damon Miles and Troy Bell. We've had multiple conversations about them.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's get in the hottiest, takiest.
Hey, let me interrupt. Was Lyndon? Did you talk about your game of the weekend?
I did talk about my game. Yes.
I knew that's when you kind of tune fell off. So, all right.
Yeah.
You telling me how to do my job, Blue? It's all right.
Make sure.
Let's get to the hot take of the weekend. Who do we need to adjust our rankings for? I love this. Again, I love this topic, Mike. You're crushing it. Why don't you go first this time?
Yeah, Michael Uwalaka, Houston Raptors gold from Empowering Others, 6'6", skilled. I mean, one of the things when I don't see a prospect for a while and I get to see him live, once again, we talk about there's a small window for evaluators, college coaches, anybody to see you. So he drives baseline, and there's a lot of times where kids drive baseline with no idea what they're doing. But at 6'6", he drives baseline and hits a mid-range jumper in the short corner. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, now you have my attention fully. And he goes on to have a heck of a weekend. Just so skilled and plays with the pace and has a physical frame. And I always like kids that are physical but aren't just running people over. He has the finesse to his game, and he knows how to use his shoulders to an advantage with his power and strength. But, I mean, the shot-making ability, he's just so comfortable in the half court that he knows to pick and choose his spots, and it's going to be a high-level, high-efficient play more times than none out of him. So one of those stock risers that when it's rankings time in that 2026 class, I'll be saying, hey, guys, we need to do something with Michael.
Yeah, no doubt. Blue.
Bo Davis from Houston Westbury Christian. He plays for TJ4, 3 SSB 16U. I immediately turned to Lyndon and I'm like, do you know this kid? Because he's got these arms that just look like they don't end. Like he can move, he's swift up and down the floor. And the one thing that I saw from him was that, being in 6'3" and being able to slash the basket, get a couple baskets, get a couple points around the rim, but also step out. He had one game where he had about 3 or 4 3-pointers, really good looking stroke. Defensively, he's able to get out on the perimeter and cause a little, put some pressure on the defense. And I think that's, as he gets a little bit stronger and matures more, that's really going to come into play as he's going to be able to push his opponent off away from their spots. And he's just he was a fun guy that to watch this past weekend that I'm really intrigued with. And just looking at the rankings, he's not there, but he will be.
Love it. Lyndon, I'm going to save your question or your response for last because I like it. And I think it's fun to talk about. I'm going to go with Timothy White, 2027 TA Elite. Coach Antias Mann from TA Elite was like, yo, I got a kid that's a sleeper. I was like, okay, I'm going to go check him out. One of the first games of the weekend, and it's clear we've got a sleeper in the 2027 class. This kid, Timothy White, goes to Plano, who does a great job of developing bigs. Coach Mann at TAA Elite does a great job of developing bigs, and he's getting some freedom to show the whole package. He scored it. He gave us a glimpse of the jumper. He owned the glass. He flashed tons of upside, and this is what he's got the Division I tools as things come along. Like, he's a giant, strong kid who has a real chance to turn some heads. And, he was a name that I kept hearing, like, who is that? And he made some noise really early. Just look out. This kid is coming. Remember the name, Timothy White. It's going to take some time, but, boy, bright flashes. Lyndon?
Yeah, let me start with a rankings adjustment that we don't need to make yet because it's the 2028 class, and that'll be its own can of worms midway through next high school season. But we always talk, especially me and Michael, about the role that you play in high school versus the role you play in grassroots. And seeing Jaron Couture from Houston Raptors 15U, we were really familiar with him watching a bunch of Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial games this year. But, you're playing with Billy White, with Sean Mondragon, with Jeremiah Moynihan, with those kids. You're not going to be the alpha, but in this setting, Jaron Couture is the alpha for his team. So he paved his way, especially with his performances through the season, and then backing that up this weekend to be a major name in this Texas freshman class. But let's get into the rankings adjustment that may or may not need to happen, because if you just look between the spots 10 and 17 in our 2027 rankings, you got Trey Pinkard, Peyton Jones, Alim Olajuwon, Chase Richardson, and the headache that is going to bring us in a few months when we do these rankings is going to, they all played so well this weekend. Trey Pinkard hitting shots from the parking lot. Peyton Jones, relentless finisher with just that natural instinctive scoring ability. Alim Olajuwon, when you talk about a kid who is primed to make a jump,
bad boy,
with his measurables, with his shot making. And then Chase Richardson plays, he might have the best pace in the entire state in this 2027 class, with his ability to just blow past people, hit shots on the pull up, and get to the rim and finish. It's going to be a nightmare trying to figure out how to stack this hierarchy of Houston area guards in that spot. But all of them, all four of them, shout out to y'all and how y'all brought it this weekend. It was something I was really glad to see.
And I'll say this, when we talk about that quick, we just put out our first 2027 rankings. So to talk about some of these 27s like you just did, Lyndon, it's more about, we see so much basketball, so we see the flaws and we see what they need to work on. So a lot of times when we're talking about why they need to jump up, it's not just because we continue to like them for what they do good. They start to clean up those things that we see. We'll sit there on a baseline and be like, when he does that, or when he doesn't do that right there, he's a very scary looking prospect. And I think all four of those guys this weekend, there were times where if he can just do that right there, the way we've been wanting him to do that, they're going to jump up the rankings.
Yeah. It's a testament too, because sometimes the more you see a kid, it's easier to find the flaws. But if you like a kid after you see him more and more, it tells you a whole different story too. So that's a big credit, and especially Lyndon.
Lyndon, before we end this, can you give the folks what the rundown of the newsletter is going to be this weekend, so they can be looking forward to that?
Yeah, we got all tournament teams for 26s, for unsigns, for underclass. We got all kinds of our personal picks from me, you, Mass, Tim, Sean, Blue, all the guys making their picks for MVPs of the weekend, next gen standouts, stock risers. It's going to be a ton of information, but a lot of digestible basketball content that we saw in both DFW and Houston.
Loved it. Love it. Let's do it again. Houston, we'd love to have you down for April 25th to 27th. That'd be sick, because we know y'all got some dudes. So
talking to people.
Yeah, come on down. Let's go.
Happening.
Let's go. Let's get it all under one roof. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you're following us. We're going to be putting out content all week. And like Lyndon said, the fast break will be loaded. Me and Blue will do a cup of hoops. We're going to be talking about a 25 and a 26 we like, with some recruiting stuff. So tune in. Thanks for being a part of the GASO team, and we'll see you next time.